How's everything going today, guys? My name is Copycat, and welcome to what might be one of my last videos solely focusing on enemies in the Super Mario Bros. Franchise. Here having the idea to look at the absolute dumbest ones you can come across in each and every game. In this one, I'll explain why they deserve to be showcased in this video, and what they do to make themselves look and seem so dull. And oh yeah, before we get started, I hope you all subscribe to my channel, hitting that bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. The very first entry to be released is Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo Entertainment System, which contains what's probably the most notable dumbest enemy in the franchise in the Goombas. Not only do these mushroom-like beings only have two stubby little feet as appendages, as well as snaggled sharp teeth that stick out of their mouths, they also have the tendencies to walk right off of ledges into voids to their deaths. I get that Mario games need a foe that's easy to defeat so that new players understand the mechanics of the game, but Goombas in this one are just the next level of stupid that I can't explain. For the Western version of Super Mario Bros. 2, they came out for the NES in 1988. There's one foe I can think of that's truly dumb, and specifically the Red Shy Guy. Just like the Goombas, this weird mask-wearing thing will walk off of ledges into voids, which is interesting as the other colors of this enemy won't do that. So this one, for some reason, is just lower IQ than the others. Shy Guys themselves are pretty weird to begin with, as they only appear in this game and in Yoshi-centric ones. Seen in those is a bit mischievous, but not dumb like they are here. In the final of the original trilogy, Super Mario Bros. 3 that came out in 1990, the enemy I always thought wasn't the brightest is the Chain Chomp, as it seems more like a rabid dog than anything else. I'm pretty sure this was an intended thing done by Miyamoto, as he tells a story that as a kid, a dog tried to run towards him and bite him, but the chain that was connected to it held it back and saved his life, giving him the inspiration for this creature. Bowser and other bosses sometimes use this enemy as a guard dog, but there's also other instances in the series where they're kind of on your side. So I feel like these things can be easily manipulated to do your bidding. Up next is the first handheld game to come out featuring our mustachioed hero in Super Mario Land for the Game Boy. Having a few baddies I want to look at that aren't too bright, starting with the flies. I have to put any enemy in this video that willingly throws itself down a pit to pursue you. A common theme in earlier games, probably due to the rudimentary coding. What's even better is that this enemy does this in a relatively slow manner, which is both funny and a bit disturbing. Two others that would also sacrifice their lives for seemingly no reason is the Toko Toko and Batadon, who both are Easter Island-like statue things that are found throughout the Eastern Kingdom. The only difference between the two is that one runs at you very fast, trying to bulldoze you and damage you, where the other has little wings that it uses to do floaty jumps towards you, trying to stomp you. But either way, both of these things are quite dull, as the saying, "as dumb as a rock," is sort of fitting here. In the SNES Super Mario World title, that's all set within the confines of Dinosaur Land, one enemy that's pretty idiotic, as it does something specific to be put in this category, are the Rexes. This is that if they're stomped on once, then they become flattened, where you'd expect that they would slow down a bit and maybe question what happened, but no. Instead, they continue to move forward, which just looks silly as half their body is literally indented. On top of already looking a bit goofy, this seriously doesn't help their case, and I think it's pretty clear why I included them. The other foe I really do feel like is worth mentioning comes in varying different forms in the Charging Chucks. Although, there's one that stands out from all the others, as it's just bizarre in the Confused one. These jock-like Koopas are supposed to be American football players that all have some sort of unique attack that differentiates them from the rest. However, the Confused Chuck is so stupid, it forgot what sport it was supposed to be playing, throwing baseballs instead of footballs at you, which clearly shows they must have been bonked on the head way too many times. On a serious note, North American football is a dangerous sport, and brain injuries are common, so this isn't exactly something to joke about, but definitely a parallel that's shared with this foe. In the second handheld entry in the series, Super Mario Land 2 also coming out for the Game Boy, the only enemy I can notice truly stupid are the Blurps, fish that are found in the game's underwater sections. These really do seem like brain-dead things, as they just swim aimlessly and don't even care about Mario's presence at all. acting more like pylons that get in your way more than anything else. Also, I'm putting this creature on here instead of the Cheep Cheep, due to the fact that the blurps for some reason wear goggles, even though they're aquatic animals, meaning they somehow forgot that they can see underwater. But honestly, just take your choice between the two, they both are brainless things. Next is the sequel/prequel to Super Mario World, here titled Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, where there's a couple of creatures I want to look at, starting with the very confusing Boo Man Bluffs, also known as Blindfold Boos. These ghost-like things are inexplicably blindfolded, apparently relying on sound to find you, which doesn't make much sense as why would you want to handicap yourself in such a crazy way? Now this foe is an anomaly as there's only one singular one that appears in the entire game in the Bigger Boo's Fort stage. So I'd imagine that the other baddies around it are looking at this thing and are probably confused why it wants to act this way. While I'm here, I should also mention the Shark Chomp. Only because if you're a creature that's willing to eat literally anything that appears in front of you, regardless of the consequences, then I'd probably assume that you're not that smart. Again, this is supposed to be more like a rabid animal than a bad guy with a plan, so I can't get too hung up when it begins to eat the stage away. The first game to come out set within the 3D realm is Super Mario 64 for the N64, which has one enemy that not only looks dumb, but also acts very dumb in the Whomps, found only within the Whomps Fortress stage. These pieces of rock slab are somehow alive and try to squish you with their strange looking faces as a way to deal you damage. However, in the process, they leave open their one weakness on their backs, where with a well-timed ground pound, they can quite easily be defeated. If they didn't do this, then you'd actually have no way of killing them. Although, again, they are rocks, so I don't expect too much in terms of smartness. The other that's very idiotic, as they don't do a good job at concealing themselves, are the money bags, aka the coin coffers in this game, as instead of being invisible like in other entries, this one disguises themselves as a single coin. Now, why you want to look like a collectible that Mario's inevitably going to want to try to get, I have no clue. But in this form, it sort of just leaves itself open, asking to be attacked, although I will give it points for eventually adapting. Another title that's based within the 3D realm is Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube, where the Poink is one that instantly comes to my mind as being seriously dumb. So much that it won't even really attack you. Instead, these balloon pig things just try to attach themselves to the nozzle of your FLUDD, which then can be blasted towards another foe to initiate certain things, meaning that this bad guy essentially gives themselves up to be used as an item at your beck and call. The only other baddie I could put into this video from this game is the Sleepy Boo, only because I can't quite wrap my head around how you can be a ghost and also just want to sleep all day long. I guess that this isn't exactly dumb and might be considered more lazy than anything else, so maybe they just have some sort of condition and I'm just dissing for no reason. Nintendo would eventually return the series to its 2D roots with the release of New Super Mario Bros. For the dual screen system. Not having any enemies that are inherently stupid, but there is one I can only imagine can't be too bright in the Block Hoppers. Honestly, I'm not sure how anyone could be fooled by these things, as they literally have feet sprouting from the bottom of their blocks, which is a dead giveaway. Plus, blocks don't tend to appear vertically like this, let alone jump around the stage. Again, this isn't that stupid of a foe, just a foe with a bit of a stupid premise, although if I did miss out on one, then please let me know in the comments below. Next to come out is the Space Super Mario Galaxy Wii entry that was released in North America in 2007. Having 3 enemies I want to show off is not the brightest of the bunch, starting with the Goom Beetle. This strange hybrid between an insect and a Goomba are actually seen wearing helmets, either because they want to protect themselves against Mario's stomps, or because they're so stupid that they need a bit of extra protection to navigate through their environment. I get him being a bit harsh, but then again, these are Goomba variants, so they really can't be that smart. Next, I want to look at the Flip Bugs, another insect-like thing that's definitely dumber than the Goom Beetle, as these things don't even attack Mario, and instead just run away in fear, eventually getting so scared that they end up on their backs, leaving themselves open for an attack. For some reason, these things will only attack you if you're in B Mario form, which is sort of odd and maybe is an instinctual thing, but I don't think there's any real-life beef between these two insects, but whatever. Finally, I really feel like I should mention the Jammy Fish, only because honestly they look like babies and therefore can't be too smart. On top of that, as long as you stay away from these jellyfish, they are completely harmless. So they might be so stupid that they don't even know that they're supposed to be the bad guys. The second installment of the new Super Mario Bros. Sub-series came out for the Wii in 2009, where there's one foe that seems so dumb that it doesn't even know what it's doing in the Bramble, who moves through stages with its long, thistly, viney limbs. This plant-like being just seems like it's out of control, moving forward through the stage without stopping with an almost bewildered look on its face, where you're able to attack its exposed body to gain some coins. I sort of feel bad for these things as they seem almost depressed at not being able to live their lives peacefully. They're not super easy to kill as you have to hit them from the top, so it's easiest just to go underneath them and let them walk over you. The second of the space-based Wii sub-series, Super Mario Galaxy 2, came out for the system in 2010, having really only one foe that everyone can agree is dumb in the Pinheads, as they're almost asking to just be knocked over. I mean, these are literally bowling pins that appear in groups in a triangle just like you see at a bowling alley. Plus, they're only in stages when Mario turns into his rock form, like a boulder, so they literally are just there to be bowled over to gain star bits. If evolution does exist in this Mushroom Kingdom-like world, then just imagine them evolving into an object that's meant to be toyed with by Mario. A pretty sad existence for this weird enemy. I think it's pretty safe to say that the Biddybudds are the stupidest enemies of Super Mario 3D Land for the 3DS, being the easiest ones to face off against, as they can be simply defeated, plus stick to a path that they don't deviate from. These sometimes appear in groups, sometimes as a duo, and sometimes with wings so they can fly just a little bit. But again, they pose no threat and will never go out of their way to attack you. I'm not really sure what these enemies are supposed to be, or where they even came from, as they only appear in this title as well as the follow-up Super Mario 3D World, so I guess the developers just needed a different type of foe as an easy scapegoat, as people have gotten way too used to seeing the Goomba and how they operate. The third installment of the new Super Mario Bros. Sub-series, inexplicably titled the second, but anyways, has one really goofy looking somewhat dumb foe in the Behemoth. You'd think something so gargantuan wouldn't be afraid to go after a pretty innocent looking plumber. Although, you'd be wrong, as this ghost still acts like the other Boos, covering behind their hands as an attempt to hide themselves out of fear. I'm a bit confused why this thing is so afraid, especially as it's technically dead, so as long as Luigi doesn't show up with his poltergust, then I don't know what the issue is at all. The final of the new Super Mario Bros. Sub-series came out for the Wii U in 2012, which contains a version of the Goomba that's somehow even dumber than the original in the Goombrats. Now, I think this technically only has to do with his looks, as at least this thing will turn back when it reaches ledges and won't throw themselves in. Although, any entity that has that kind of haircut needs to get called out, and called out hard. Again, I might just be laser focused in on this enemy and might be overlooking others, so if that is the case somehow, then please let me know in the comments below. Up next is Super Mario 3D World, that first came out on the Wii U, then was later re-released on the Switch, where there's one enemy that shows up in the Plessie stages that are pretty dumb in the grand scheme of things, in the Splounders. These weird fish are really just meant to be used as platforms to get to more secretive areas that contain goodies like green stars or 1-ups. And even if you do run into them, they just slow you down a little bit, which isn't that bad. I think they are kind of cute in a weird disgusting sort of way, although them just standing still like that makes me seem like they are a bit stoops. Next to be released is the absolutely massive Super Mario Odyssey Nintendo Switch entry, which has a couple of foes that seem to be a bit dim, starting with the Uproots. It's really just the fact that these plants are wearing their broken pots as their helmets, which honestly is just a little bit sad and makes me feel bad whenever I knock it off them. I mean, at the end of the day, this really just is an onion, so it can't be that smart, and I really do find its capture ability useful, so there is that. The other thing I feel like we should look at is the Cockatiel boss of the Luncheon Kingdom, being a fat bird that's constantly adding things to its perpetual stew at the top of Mount Volbono. I'm not even sure how this cockatoo even functions properly, as its eyes are literally pointed in different directions. And it is very overweight, so it must be a struggle for it to even move anywhere, let alone attack you. The final game we're going to look at in this video, and the most recent to come out in the series, is Super Mario Bros. Wonder for the Nintendo Switch. Having 3 enemies I could find that fit the category of this video, starting with the Blooms. These are supposed to be fish beings that use air instead of water to swim around, and can be blown up to pretty big sizes so they can be platformed on. This honestly just looks really funny, although also painful for these enemies. Especially as it looks like their bulbous eyes are about to explode from their bodies. Another foe that I think must be pretty stupid are the Serpents, who are snakes whose heads have been caught up in a pot, sort of looking like the ones from the Legend of Zelda series. This just does not make them look smart at all, as they can't even see, so they're just approaching every situation literally blind. But the pots can be broken and they turn into more normal beings, so that is still a thing. Finally, the ultimate stupid enemy in this game, and maybe overall in the series, are the Skedaddlers. Being weird squirrel-like things with black shells that run away from you when you come near. At some points they will stop and fire seed-like projectiles at you, which I'll admit is kinda cool. That is, if they didn't run away like scaredy cats in a hysterically frantic fashion. Alright, that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I really hope you did enjoy this one. If you did, please leave a like, comment below what you thought about it, and of course subscribe to my channel. Also, please go follow my Instagram at CopyCatGamer. There I'll upload some cool clips and items for my collection that you won't see anywhere else. Hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!